Hello everyone, my name is Nick, and I'm a bit dumb when it comes to my Ironman, as I keep rushing things that I'm not prepared for, and I'm in a bit over my head. So let's jump into things. At the end of my last video, we got some big upgrades done. Questing for the adamant gloves, I got the dragon scimitar and protection prayers, you kinda get the idea. However, I ended off that video by saying I want to start grinding out the barrows and the perilous moons for some massive gear upgrades. Barrows in terms of actually going to do it right now, there really isn't a whole lot stopping me before I start attempting runs. I can't do them super efficiently, of course, because I don't have the stats for the teleport spell, and I'm still rocking the standard spell book, but there really isn't anything hindering me from going out and grinding out barrows with some good old-fashioned methods. Moons, on the other hand, have some quests that I need to get done. A big one, of course, is the quest itself, Perilous Moons, which requires stats that I don't really have right now, and I haven't started doing, like runecrafting, construction, and hunter. So yeah, some prep work is going to have to happen before I even attempt starting to do that moon grind. So some good off-camera grinding and questing is going to take place during this video, because it's kind of boring to watch that. But while grinding, I was looking into the armor sets and noticed something kind of weird. I'm not sure where exactly these two minigames are supposed to fall in terms of progression in relation to one another. Like, should you do barrows before doing moons, or should you do it the other way around? The stat requirements for these gear sets really throw me through a loop. Barrows requires a flat 70 to use. By that, I mean if you want to use the Varrock set and the weapon, you need 70 defense and 70 attack. If you use the Thorax set, you need 70 defense, 70 attack, and 70 strength. That same thing goes for Carols and Arums, where you need 70 defense and 70 range or mage. The Moon armor, though, has a base requirement of 50 defense to use, but requires 75 in strength, magic, or range, depending on which weapon you want to use, which just feels weird to me. I don't know if anyone else kind of feels that way regarding the armor sets, but to me it sounds like moons should be done first before attempting barrows, but the moons are incredibly hard to do without the barrows armor and only 50 defense, and it would be really nice to have that barrow gear to grind up to those 70 stats. I don't know. That's just a ramble of an idiot who should probably just play the game by now. So with some background information done, I went to upgrade my range set because I have much love for the bone crossbow, but there's a lot better options out there. So with the Dragon Slayer 1 quest done, I was able to buy the green D'hide set, and I went out to the wilderness to find an upgrade. That upgrade should be rather easy to get with the Crazy Archaeologist. This boss can drop 2 rune crossbows at a rate of 1 in 25.6, which is a pretty sweet deal if you ask me, because that skips a whole lot of requirements if I wanted to go make the crossbow myself. There is an option to get other items here too, like sharks, prayer potion, muddy keys. A lot could happen, but the main goal is that crossbow, and me and this guy did not get along. Most of the time he would just give me something random, but he never wanted to part ways with that crossbow. Early on, I got an upgrade to my range set, which was the red D'hide body, but I got some long bones, like almost back to back, and an odium shard 2. That's a 1 in 256, by the way, and when I'm looking at a 1 in 25.6 drop, I'm not gonna lie, I got kind of salty here, and I started to deeply hate this boss and the PKers around here, so I only killed him a few more times before I gave up on the rune crossbow grind, at least for now. There's plenty of other things I could do in the meantime, like questing to unlock the chance to fight the moons. Here's all those quest completion screens and the background training that I did for the most part, and of course I skipped most of this quest because I wanted to gear up and take on the first part of the moons, which is the blue moon. In this gear set, I'm not gonna lie, it was a struggle. Took 3 attempts to get this boss done, and that's really not a good sign considering I just want to sit here and camp this place out over and over again for the gear sets. But we moved on to the blood moon, and I knew this was going to be the hardest of them to complete considering my gear and stats, and yeah, I got smacked around. In 5 attempts, the lowest I could ever get the boss down was to 30%, so I need to change something, like actually being able to make the potions here and getting better gear. So let's head off to barrows and talk about their equipment. Barrows gear is pretty much broken up into a few different categories, if you will. We have the tanky gear set, which is the Darok and Torag set. We have the special love, which is the Guthans and Varrock set. And then we have the off melee sets, which is Carols and Arums. Now, while the DH set does have a pretty fun and useful set effect, when it comes down to Guthans and Varrocks, they're kind of really only known for their set effects, at least in my head, and Varrocks in this example is lower in tank stats when I compare it to DH. Regardless, any one of the Melee Brothers gear sets blows my current rune armor out of the water in terms of defensive stats. And wouldn't you know it, the first run while doing the subquest got me an item, the Torag's Helm. What a beautiful start, honestly. But that's where things kind of took a nosedive. The minigame in terms of getting uniques revolves around killing each of the brothers, going into the tunnels, and looting the main chest. When you kill Darok, for example, you get the option to receive one of his items, that being the weapon, the helm, the chest, and the legs. If you kill all the brothers, you have an option to receive any one of their items. And the math gets kind of weird here, but you have approximately a 1 in 15 or a 1 in 14.5% chance of receiving a Barrows item if you kill all the brothers and you trust one post over another. Regardless, once you find yourself in the tombs, you're going to notice this percentage pop up on your screen, and that percentage has absolutely nothing to do with the rewards from the unique table. Instead, this percentage opens up possible rewards from the main table, like death runes, bolt racks, key halves, you get the idea. In terms of getting uniques, all you had to do is kill the brothers, make your way into the tunnels, and open up the chest. However, in my situation, killing Arams isn't fun at all. The bone crossbow, again, is horrific in terms of DPS of this guy, and Arams has a fun little move that lowers melee stats, which makes killing him over time way harder, and I have no restore options at the moment. So I'm going to be skipping him while I do my rounds going forward. Because I don't kill Arams, I don't have the ability to receive any of his items, which makes the rates of seeing a unique drop quite a bit. I do want the Aram set in the future, but right now I really just want to grind out the moons for their sets, so I'm hyper focused on getting the melee brother armor pieces. So my current run looks like this. I start in Artie at the altar and heal up my prayers, and make my way over to the fairy rings, and I teleport to the Mortmire swamp. From here, I travel to the boat and make my way over to the Barrows minigame. I start by killing Darok, then Guthans, then Carol's if it's not his tunnel, then Torag, and finally ending on Varak. After they're all dead, I enter the tunnels, and I typically kill a bunch of monsters here while making up that percentage and moving over to the center chest because I really do want to see that blood and death rune drop. Once I open up that chest, I teleport back to Artie, heal up my prayer points, and start the whole cycle over again, banking in Xenaris if I have to. And the grind just keeps on going. This worked out pretty well for me, as on KC number 16, I got to see my second item, which is a DH helm. It's not super nice in terms of my overall goal, as I'd rather have a tank body or legs, but I'm not going to complain this early on. Now, I do have some tips for players rushing into Barrows like I am, because I'm seeing people do some really weird things. Once you're in the tombs, there are some funky mechanics that you can use and abuse. When looking at the overall map of the tunnels, you can see that each one of the corner rooms in these outside paths have safe spots that you can use, so use them. During my entire grind here, I never saw anyone use one of these safe spots, and I saw a couple people die while trying to take on one of the melee brothers head on, or even the skeletons. The outside paths have rocks that you can range your mage over, and in the corner rooms you have the ladder spawns. When you first go down into the tunnel, you show up in a corner room with the exit ladder, since each tunnel is randomized a little bit to each one of your entrances, but each corner still acts as though a ladder is present. So when I go down into the dungeon, I see my ladder spawn, and I make my way over to another corner room, and I try to walk onto a tile, but I'm not able to, because the game thinks this corner is open in case a ladder needed to spawn. Each corner room has this, so go find them all by trying to walk on the center tiles and mark that spot using the tile marker so you can cast over it when you're getting percentages up or killing a brother that spawned in. But you can also try to spawn in one of these brothers into the room. Each time you open one of these doors, a monster randomly spawns and instantly starts attacking you. But there's a chance to spawn in one of the brothers you haven't killed yet. So if you have a melee brothers left to kill and you don't want to kill them at the center chest, just walk in between these outside tunnels and the corner room to try to spawn them in, so that way you can just safe spot them if you need to. There is a spawn limit cap, so it doesn't always work, but this gives you a chance to kill Darok in a safe spot rather than having to sip a prayer dose if you don't have a whole lot of them, which is the same boat that I'm in. I also tend to do this funky little run in the center room whenever I have a melee tunnel. You're able to trap them behind these poles, and I can run around them in this fashion and never get hit again, saving me on prayer potions because, again, I don't have a lot of them. So these are just some tips for those blasting through the Barrows grind a bit under-leveled like me. The next question is, why did I just go into a huge ramble of tips when a lot of this is common knowledge? Because I have 100 clips of opening up empty chests. Seriously, clip after clip after clip is just base loot. It wasn't until KC number 72 that something actually happened. 56 chests after the last drop. That's not ideal to see. Yes, it's a boost in defensive armor over my rune armor, but tank pieces would have been so much nicer. So again and again, I went back to Barrows, getting more and more frustrated with each passing run and seeing an empty chest. You gotta remember, this circle isn't fast to run. Because I don't have a teleport here and I don't have any restore options, I'm forced to teleport back to the Artie altar after every run to get my prayer points back up again, stop at Xenaris to get more food, and a good run could take 10 minutes. But it wasn't uncommon for me to mess up a prayer flick somewhere and have to start all over again, wasting 20 or more minutes on a run. But the grind kept on going. Oh, it happened. Oh my god, it happened. Yes. Oh, I'm out. I'm done. Oh my, thank you. Thank you. It's so late at night. I've been doing this whole, like, one more run for like 2 hours now, and it paid off. It did. God, this set's gonna look atrocious. I don't care. I'm going to bed. I'm not coming back here for a while. I'm done. I'm done. 152 KC at the Barrows Brothers to get a really weird looking set. But man, am I finally happy to have this horrific set to my name. It's not the prettiest, but it's a nice jump in defense from my last gear set, and it's going to be more than enough to power through some moon runs. With some AFK training whenever I couldn't do a run, and the insane amount of magic casting I did during this video, here are the new stats. I actually had to do a double take here because, man, some of these stats jumped up quite a bit that I wasn't expecting, like 13 levels in magic at Barrows alone. And that's with doing defensive casting to get some defense levels passively. Man, that's painful to say. But that's all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does mean the world to me, and let me know what you think of the video down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys, but until we see each other again, I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Good luck on your grinds and your personal goals, and I hope to see you again very soon. Stay inspired.